All right. Call halal Yahal about Shimi Shai. I'm Haya L. I'm back with the final chapter, hopefully, for my lesson on melanin. All right. I'm going more in depth in regards to the biomedical applications of melanin with this chapter. Because just as I said in the last two chapters of this, melanin is something that plays a pivotal role in why our vessels work better than everyone else's. And the abilities of melanin are nothing short of miraculous. And that is why most of our people don't give the Most High enough credit, because they don't do enough study and research to see exactly what the Most High has done, to search out the works of the Most High and give him praise and glory for them. But so with the last one, I went over the racial differences in cochlear pigmentation being associated with hearing loss. But the thing they don't talk about is the melanated differences, or melanin differences in cochlea, yielding differences in how we hear, right? Explanation to why black-skinned people hear better than people with white skin may lie in the cell pigment in their skin, which produces the skin protecting melanin. Now, a lot of, like, if you do a cursory search, it's going to talk about the skin, but it's not going to talk about the cochlear melanation. Wrong. Was this it? No, that's the other one. Okay, well, we're going to move on from this because there's a lot more to cover, right? But another thing that they're trying to do, actually, do I want to do that one right now? I guess I'll go ahead and do it. So another thing they're trying to do in regards to melanin, and I'm gonna go to this one last. Yep, eukaryotes, melanoma. Yes. Another thing that melanin does is it chelates metals, right? Metals and toxins in the body. I'm gonna just go ahead and read the abstract here. So the title of this is Current Understanding of the Binding Sites, Capacity, Affinity, and Biological Significance of Metals in Melanin, right? They're literally studying melanin to see how it binds to metals. Why is that important? You'll see. Metal chelation is often invoked as one of the main biological functions of metal, or melanin. So wait, it's so prolific in doing this throughout the body that it's thought to be one of its main functions. But as far as we're told, melanin just makes you black. See what I'm saying? And then it makes you wonder even more. Why are all your cooking utensils in your kitchen, unless you cook with ceramic and cast iron, why are all of your cooking utensils made out of aluminum? Because aluminum is a neurotoxin. And this is on a government website. These are published studies, right? When we say that Esau is truly the devil that the Bible speaks of, it is not hyperbole. When we call him Satan, the great adversary, the red dragon, it is not hyperbole. It is not, you know, just hyperbolic speech. It is not something that is made up and unfounded. It's proven, right? So aluminum is neurotoxic. It's free ion, aluminum 3, is highly biologically reactive and uniquely equipped to do damage to essential cellular neuronal biochemistry. It's literally designed in terms of its implementation into our tools that we use to cook with and conduct industry with to interfere with the brain, right? And aluminum can be aerosolized as well. I know I'm going off on a little tangent here, but I just want to show why chelation by melanin is very important. Oh yeah, that's what I want to search. Yeah, geoengineering aluminum. So as you can see here, they spray tracers in the sky, right? This is just one instance, but this was in the 50s where they conducted experiments which injected vapor tracers in the upper atmosphere, right? They still do this, by the way. When you see those planes flying around, leaving those long ass trails in the atmosphere, those trails are comprised mainly of barium and aluminum particulates, right? They're literally spraying the skies with things that they know are highly poisonous and debilitating in relation to our bodies and, more importantly, our brains, right? Heavy metals also aggregate in the bones too, right? So they also disrupt the structure of the bones. But melanin chelates heavy metals. So hold on 1 second. Let me get back to where I was. There we go. So, in order to understand the interaction between metals and melanin, extensive studies have been carried out to determine the nature of the metal binding sites, binding capacity, and affinity. What would these studies be, right? Because if you heavily inundate somebody's body with heavy metals, they're going to have a lot of sicknesses. This is not something that people would do willingly. A lot of these studies are carried out after people die in certain areas. That's why when you die, you don't have, like, once you turn your body over to a coroner's office, good luck getting that body back. They get to do anything they want with it. Yeah, there's some laws and stuff that prohibit them from doing certain things, but those laws don't apply to us, especially if Esau wants some information in regards to our physiology, right? But in order to understand the interaction between metals and melanin, extensive studies have been carried out to determine the nature of the metal binding sites, binding capacity, and affinity. These data are central to efforts aimed at elucidating the role metal binding plays in determining the physical, structural, and biological and photochemical properties of melanin. This article examines the current state of understanding of this field. Right? So it's saying melanin has a high affinity for metal ions. So ionized metal in the body would be a free radical, right? So it has a high affinity to basically chelate those metal ions, and pigmented tissues contain significant amounts of metal elements in vivo because metals are precisely regulated in the body. So these metals that it's talking about are metals like copper, metals like magnesium. What's another one? Manganese, right? These are all metals in small trace amounts your body still needs to function, right? Manganese being one, if deficient in the body, is primarily responsible for breast cancer. A lot of our people don't know that. But um, these are things that Esau has been studying basically as long as they've had access to our bodies, right? Because metals are precisely regulated in the body, the involvement of melanin in the metabolism of metals is of great importance and has recently attracted much attention. Specifically, there has been an extensive effort to characterize the binding capacity and affinity of many metals to melanin and to describe the chemical nature of its metal binding sites and the effects of its coordinated metal content on its biological properties. Melanin's ability to act as an effective antioxidant. Remember what I just said? It captures free radicals. What captures a free radical? An antioxidant. That this again is why you have to understand terminology when you are dealing with the devil. This is Psalms 21:20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. Has Esau not put forth his hands against us throughout history, repetitiously and incessantly? Right? It is an unending war that he has waged on our people, overt and covert, open and in secret. All right? When he's waging these little secret wars against us, where he's poisoning us with these various chemicals and various substances, he uses this. He uses words to disarm us. How do we know? It says right here, verse 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. He'll promise you, hey, that sodium fluoride in the water, yeah, man. It's great for your teeth, bro. Yeah, it helps. It helps keep your teeth white and plaque free and free of cavities. Right. When sodium fluoride has been shown to be a neurotoxin in the brain of rats. Right. Now, I'm not saying we're rats, but our physiology does show some commonalities with the other mammals of this earth, and mice and rats are one of them when it comes to heavy metals in the brain. And fluoride is known, or sodium fluoride is known to be toxic in the brain. Right? Fluoride protects teeth from decay by demineralization and remineralization. How does that make sense? So it takes minerals out of the teeth and then puts minerals into the teeth. Does it put the same minerals back? It doesn't say, right? But of course, you could do more research to see exactly what it does. But one thing they do tell you is too much fluoride can lead to dental fluorosis and skeletal fluorosis, which can damage bones and joints. This is also one reason why people will openly tell you never drink tap water. But if you listen to Esau, he'll tell you that, hey, our nifty water association has branded this level of fluoridation. I was going to say fluorosis, but this level of fluoridation acceptable, right, and safe for human consumption. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but it's safe, man. Don't worry about it. But war was in his heart, man. I feel so bad for those black people in Flint, Michigan, who are affected by the lead in the water, and then literally over a decade later have done nothing about it. Or they throw rocks and hide their hands when you call out issues with the water in terms of fluoride content. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. He wages open war against us by speaking softly, hat in his hands, holding up a white flag, give me a hug, brother, can I come to the cookout? This is what he does. This is why when I speak to elders, it makes me angry beyond words to see our elders still falling for the same old tricks, falling for the same old excuses, falling for the same old explanations. if the things that Esau said were healthy for you, we wouldn't have all these health problems, right? What is the risk of aluminum as a neurotoxin? Right? We're going to get back to the other one, but I just want to stay on this because it's short. Aluminum is neurotoxic. Now, you got to remember, this is not just a pronouncement, right? A lot of people will go, oh man, that's conspiratorial. This is a study that they've conducted. This is on the government website. This is a .gov. It doesn't get more official than this. Aluminum is neurotoxic. Its free ion, Al3, is highly biologically reactive and uniquely equipped to do damage to essential cellular neuronal biochemistry, as we read earlier. This unequivocal fact must be the starting point in examining the risk posed by aluminum as a neurotoxin in humans. Aluminum is present in the human brain and it accumulates with age. That's why when people get into their 60s and 70s, they start to become senile. It's the accumulation of heavy metals in the brain. Now, there are ways that I could recommend to chelate heavy metals out of your body, and they're completely natural. Most High gave us access to all of it. Don't involve shit from Esau. The most recent research demonstrates that a significant portion of individuals over the older than 70 years of age have a potentially pathological accumulation of aluminum somewhere in their brain. What is a pathology? Involving, caused by, or of the nature of a physical or mental disease. So it causes sickness through the accumulation of aluminum, and it says somewhere in their brains. Now, we do know that there are melanated centers in the brain, and melanin is a chelator of heavy metals, and aluminum being one of them. So those points of the brain that deteriorate will yield certain diseases, if I'm right. And of course I'm right. Why? Because I just read it. Parkinson's is one of the diseases that arises from the deterioration and degeneration of the melanated centers of the brain. But if you listen to Esau, his words being smoother than butter, he'll have you thinking that it's all in your head. It's all made up. Your loved one just got sick because their genetics are bad. God didn't do a good job. And, I got to come in and I got to fix you. Here's all these medications that's going to kill you in the next 15 years. But in the meantime, you might have a better time here and there instead of getting those heavy metals out of the tissues that they're in and restoring the regular function of those organs and organelles within the brain. So, what are the symptoms of chronic aluminum intoxication in humans? What if neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's disease are the manifestation of the risk of aluminum as a neurotoxin? How might such an outrageous hypothesis be tested? Right? Now, you keep going down, you see all these different articles about toxicity of aluminum in the brain. And we know that aluminum binds to melanin. Whose brains do you think they've been opening up and conducting experiments on to see, is it worth poisoning the whole damn environment and saturating the whole damn country with aluminum, the whole world, mind you, with this industrial metal that produces so many side effects in people? Is it worth it? When they open our brains and they see that we're dying from it, hell yeah, it's worth it. Let me see something here. Yeah, that's right. So what we have here is another discovery that they made. This is around 2020, right? And it's not the culmination of the science, more just a reporting on it because it's an ongoing field, right? And so we're going to just read the header here. Antioxidant graphene oxide nanoribbon, all right, as a novel whitening agent inhibits, and we're just going to, wow. So it's basically it makes the eyes like not fully develop. Man, just So antioxidant graphene oxide nanoribbon as a novel whitening agent inhibits microphthalmia or thalmia associated transcription factor related melanogenesis mechanism. So in the melanin synthesis process, oxidative reactions play an essential role. It is a good strategy to inhibit melanin production by reducing oxidative stress. Right? So, and it is a good strategy to inhibit melanin production. You have to analyze what they're saying. Even if the reasoning behind the science is to whiten the skin for a cosmetic reason, you have to understand that this is talking about inhibiting the production of melanin, right? Now, how are they going to do that? Fullerene and its derivatives. What is fullerene? Fullerene is an allotrope of carbon whose molecules consist of carbon atoms connected by single and double bonds as to form a closed or partially closed mesh with fusion or fused rings of 5 to 7 atoms. The molecule may be a hollow sphere, ellipsoid tube, or many other shapes and sizes. Fullerene versus graphene oxide. What you're going to see is, speaking of its elements, they are exactly the same. It's their alignment in terms of the carbon atoms that differ, right? The only difference is, instead of just always being connected, basically carbon structures that are hexagonal are six-sided in nature. Some of the hexagonal structures are pentagonal structures, hence why it curves and forms a ellipsoid or a sphere or a definitive shape that's enclosed in on itself. When you have just graphene oxide, what you have is a sheet, right? So graphene is an allotrope of carbon that occurs as sheets of carbon, while fullerene is an allotrope of carbon which occurs as spheres of carbon. The key difference between graphene and fullerene is that graphene has a two-dimensional structure, while fullerene has a three-dimensional structure. Now, this doesn't seem nefarious on its face, but you'll see in a moment. Okay, so it talks about the basics of basically melanin. So in addition to, what do they call for this? I think it's reactive oxidative stress. Hold on one second. Let me make sure before I go on. Yeah, reducing. Nope, that's not it. There it is. Reactive oxygen species, Salakia. So during UV exposure, the reactive oxygen species levels in the skin increase dramatically, which is known as oxidative stress. But the thing is, if you have melanin, that don't happen, right? Because it shields from the oxidative stresses that is brought on by UV exposure, right? So they admit that basically right here by saying through UV exposure, the reactive oxygen species levels in the skin rise dramatically. So just to make sure we know what that is, free radicals essentially. Reactive oxygen species are highly reactive chemicals formed from oxygen, or O2. Examples of reactive oxygen species include peroxides, I mentioned that earlier, superoxide, hydroxyl radical, singlet oxygen, alpha oxygen. So oxygen is a very reactive substance in the body, right? And UV exposure can aggravate oxygen or reactive oxygen species, so different free radical agents, right? Several environmental toxicity factors also enhance oxidative stress to the skin, such as pesticides, carbon tetrachloride. What is carbon tetrachloride? Carbon tetrachloride was produced in large quantities to make refrigerants and propellants for aerosol cans as a solvent for oils, fats, lacquers, varnishes, rubber waxes, resins, and as a grain fumigant, a dry cleaning agent. Consumer and fumigant uses have been discontinued in only industrial uses. But if your clothes are dry cleaned, say you produce brand new jeans and you want to basically take all of the jeans through a process to make sure that they're nice and straight before shipping them out. How are you going to do that? You're going to use a mass-produced agent to do so. A chemical agent where you don't have to create a contraption that has lots of moving parts that can break down and require repair. This is why so many of us are getting sick. Not this one in particular, but this ideology of poisoning our entire environment. That's why your food is poisoned, whether it has pork, shrimp, crab, or lobster in it, which results in you breaking the dietary law, more importantly, but also your body having to internalize that crap and then process it. That's poison, right? Whether you go to a place that dry cleans your clothes and uses this stuff, it's a poison that is now on your clothes that is now permeable to your skin. Is readily absorbed through the skin of humans. Your entire world, Jake, is poisoned. All of it. All of it. The paint on your walls is poisoned. Once upon a time, they put lead in the paint. Particulate lead in the paint. The only reason why they stopped doing that is because their kids were suffering the most ramifications from it, eating paint chips and stuff like that, getting brain damage. The only reason why they stopped is because they got the short end of the stick. But everything else, they kept on the table. You know why? Because you were getting the short end of the stick. That's why. Heavy metals. We already kind of went over that. Aromatic amines. So what's that? Right? Aromatic amines are chemicals found in industrial and manufacturing plants. All those plants you drive by, dumping all that smoke and the fumes into the atmosphere, where do you think that stuff goes? Tobacco smoke, commercial hair dyes. Obviously, I shouldn't have to say nothing about smoking because you shouldn't be smoking anyway. And if you're smoking and you die from that, hey, man, that's judgment from the Most High God. But to y'all who are dyeing your hairs, it's in that too. Notice it makes a distinction. Commercial dyes. What's a commercial hair dye? At home color kit. That's the stuff that you and I can buy. You and I can afford. And diesel exhaust. All these trucks driving all around the nation, taking products here and there. And particulate matter. Particulate matter like aerosols that are sprayed in the atmosphere, right? In the biochemical mechanism, the intracellular oxidants are generated from the non-enzymatic system, transforming them into reactive oxygen species to trigger the melanogenesis pathway. So these things being in the body triggers melanogenesis. Melanogenesis, by definition, is the production of the melanin pigments. These are most often produced by cells called melanocytes. Melanocytes are dendritic cells of the neuroectoderm. Neuroectoderm consists of cells derived from ectoderm. The neuroectoderm receives bone morphic genetic protein inhibiting signals from proteins such as noggin, which leads to the development of the nervous system from the tissue. So these things are literally associated with not just coloring your skin, not just the immunology of your skin or the immune system in your skin. It's also associated with literally everything. The formation of nerves, the formation of the brain, the maintenance of the nerves in the brain. Notice that all these things melanin tries to take care of for you. That's why the the Edomites are determined. They're determined. They increase the dosage. They increase the amount of planes that got to fly around crisscrossing the sky, making a damn Connect 4 board up in the sky. And this is also how you know a lot of our people just don't give a fuck about anything, because they don't look up. They don't care about nothing. They don't research any of this. All this stuff is available. None of this stuff is hard to understand, because if you don't understand it, you could just do a cursory Google search. You could just literally highlight it, do a search, bam, oh, I got it. Go back to the material. Now I understand it. Damn, it's evil. That's how our people could respond, but they don't. Proverbs 1:22. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Again, this is why those who watch my street teachings, I get the angriest at our elders. Because if anybody who should know what's going on, if there's anybody in our entire nation, it's them. It's them. Once upon a time, there weren't planes flying around all the time, leaving all those damn chemtrails. They watched that shit start and they didn't say a damn word about it. And still ain't got nothing to say today. They had Esau experiment on them, Tuskegee experiments. They know the entire medical system is untrustworthy and aims to hurt our people. And they ain't said nothing to nobody. They let their children walk into a slaughterhouse. Don't say shit. So, in addition to reactive oxygen species, there are many factors that affect melanin production. They know things that affect melanin production. Okay. Including gene expression, inflammation, and endocrine changes. And that's dealing with the pancreas, I think, right? Well, it's a whole system, really. So the endocrine system, made up of all the body's different hormones, regulate all biological processes in the body from conception through adulthood and into old age, including the development of the brain and nervous system, the growth and function of the reproductive system, as well as the metabolism and blood sugar. So here are the organs, right, associated with the endocrine system. The hypothalamus is in the brain. Pineal gland is in the brain. Pituitary gland is in the brain. Thyroid and parathyroid. Those are along the sides of the neck in the front, right? The thymus, right? Yeah, it's in the chest. Adrenal gland, kidneys. Pancreas, its own organ. Ovary, part of the woman's reproductive system. And the testes, part of the man's reproductive system. Now, let's go back here. They know these things affect melanin production and pigment uptake, right? They know reactive oxygen species have an impact on this, right? Because if your body is trying to produce more, like, I guess, factors to compensate for all these increased toxins in your environment, it's going to have an effect on everything else. In the first steps of melanin production, that's just talking about the production of it. Excuse me. Yep. Now, this is what I really wanted to get for y'all, right? Fullerene, which is carbon 60, carbon nanotubes, graphene, and graphene nanoribbons are four kinds of nanocarbon widely researched around the world. Fullerene and its derivatives are complexes have been considered strong free radical scavengers for a long time. So this dude named Yodo used water-soluble fullerene as a protective agent against catabolic stress-induced degeneration. What's catabolic stress? The catabolic response to sepsis, severe injury, and burn is characterized by whole body protein loss, meaning reflecting increased breakdown of muscle proteins, in particular myofibrillar or fibrillar proteins, basically heart muscle. Okay? Glucocorticoids and various pro-inflammatory cytokines are important regulators of muscle proteolysis in stressed patients. The breakdown of proteins or peptides into amino acids by the action of enzymes. So, this catabolic stress can lead to muscle loss, right? In the heart. Now, cardiac muscle does not replace itself once it's been damaged. Now, it can heal from certain stresses, but when you're talking about it being damaged on a microcellular level, it's not coming back. Right? Unless the Most High God wills it, it ain't coming back. Right? But they use this this fullerene as a protective agent against degeneration that's resulted from catabolic stress. Right? NJAC included that basically fullerene or carbon 60. What is that? Man, I'm gonna have to see what that is because I do not want to have to say all that. Hydroxylfullerene. Okay, cool. That hydroxylfullerene is a strong antioxidant compound when the antioxidant stress is too high. Now, you have to remember, this process is to inhibit, part of this process is to inhibit the production of melanin. All right? Because this is for skin whitening. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a skin whitening that doesn't leave the skin susceptible to damage. And fullerene and essentially different forms of carbon, like the what is it? Essentially graphene is going to be used for. All right. Yep. And she showed that basically fullerene complexes might be promising candidates for treating brain-related diseases caused by increased levels of superoxide. Superoxide is a free radical. Free radicals build up in the brain, and that is the reason for brain-related diseases. So if this captures free radicals, what they're talking about is basically having this right here, chelate this superoxide out of the structures of the brain. When melanin, eumelanin, already does these things. But guess what? If you take this type of stuff, it's going to inhibit your body from producing actual eumelanin. Now, is this a perfect science? No. But this is what they're moving toward, right? They're trying to find something that is as good as melanin for them and also kills us one way or another. But I think that's all I wanted from here. If you want, you can read the entire study. So here we have another one saying melanin-like nanomaterials for advanced biomedical applications, a versatile platform with extraordinary promise. Right? So they're already trying to take our melanin and somehow either manufacture it and put it into their nanotechnology or just directly take it and use it in their nanotechnology, which they're already doing, considering hundreds of thousands of us go missing every year and are never seen again. Organ trafficking has never been more prolific. Sex trafficking, child trafficking, human trafficking in general has never been more prolific. Why is that? And why are these markets affecting our people the most? Because if you know what melanin is and you know who has the most of it and you know who's special because of it, they're your victims. But I think I've covered enough. I think I've covered enough about this topic. I am going to finish out the last 20 minutes because I do want each one to be full. I just want to go over each one of these, you know, little titles at least. But as you can see here, they aim to take melanin and use it as a way of basically implementing it in nanomaterials, whether it be nanobots, nanomeshes that they plan to put in, into circulation. And when I say a nanomesh, graphene oxide is capable of being literally one atomic unit wide. It is a network of carbon sheets that is literally one carbon high, right? So it's thought to be a quasi two-planar substance, right? A 2D substance. Missing, basically, you have length, width, but no height because it's only one atom high. So it's quasi two-dimensional. And it's so actually I want to show right here. Graphene oxide liquid. Graphene oxide liquid. Look at this. Clear as water. Doesn't even interact with the light. If anything, it might scatter it a little bit or bend it like real water. But other than that, it's not a solid substance. This is why the Bible tells us not to be ignorant of any matter, great and small. This is why you're supposed to put on the whole armor of the Most High God, right? Ephesians 6:11, put on the whole armor of God that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. This is why blessed is he that readeth. This is why when you're curious about matters, you prove all things, right? When you suppose something is going on, 1 Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things, hold fast to that which is good. So when I go outside and I see a plane spraying shit up in the sky, I have to try to prove what's going on, right? He's trying to dim the sun. Bill Gates and people like him aim to spray aerosols into the atmosphere. Basically, what we just covered, aerosols of heavy metals, which are basically free radicals that will do untold damage to our people, the functioning of their bodies, their brains, etc., etc. If you see a plane flying around and then you have some white man saying, hey, look, I want to basically blot out the sun, you can prove it by simply investigating the scientific discoveries that they've made as of the last 20 years. It's not even that hard. Hell, if you don't want to, reference the modern science, you can reference the science that they came up with in the 50s and the 60s. None of this stuff is new. That's why most of our people are going to die in Babylon. Not just this reason, but the reason of not having any curiosity about anything going on around them. That's why the Bible says they're spiritually dead. Yeah, I should have just went to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 37:1. The hand of the Most High God was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Most High and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. So this is a vision that Ezekiel is having, right? And he's being set down in a valley that's full of bones. And these bones are supposed to represent Israelites, right? Now, you would assume that if it's a valley full of bones, those bones are dead men, dead people. Ezekiel 37:2, and caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. Again he said unto me, Prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Most High God. That's why we go out to the highways and byways, to wake our people up, to breathe life into them, to tell them what's going on, to tell them the peril that they're in, so that they can repent and do better. Ezekiel 37:5. Thus saith the Most High God unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know I am the Most High God. Like, man, that's why I find it a unique honor and pleasure to do the work, because you get to breathe life into our people. You get to see the wheels start turning. For some of our people, the first time in decades, they actually start thinking about shit. They've been walking around dead, just living it up in Babylon for X amount of time, and then they come across a prophet and they wake up. Now, some of our people go back to sleep. Some of our people don't even take a moment to even converse with you on the streets. But the ones that do wake up, man, it'll bring tears to your eyes just to see them come back to the Lord and start trying to keep the commandments. Because you get to see that prophecy made in Ezekiel 37 come to fruition. You get to see the life breathed back into our people. You get to see the sinews being put up on their bones and the flesh coming up on the muscles. You get to see them become people again instead of walking dead. Actually, I think we can get rid of this one. Here's another one, right? Natural melanin pigments and their interfaces with metal ions and oxides, emerging concepts and technologies. They're trying to figure out how to make melanin work for them. Humans lacking melanocytes in the ear and animals with albinism display hearing conditions as in domestic cats with white fur and blue eyes, thus suggesting a biofunctional role of melanin beyond photoprotection. See, they keep saying, oh, it's suggested, but I've looked at article after article after article after article where they're citing multiple sources within the article itself where they found these associations. They know these things to be true. But the thing is, they can't say it for certain because if they do, guess who's going to be the grand recipient of the good news? It's going to be us. Who's going to be the recipient of the bad news? That if you don't have you melanin, you can't hear worth the damn. You can't see worth the damn. You can't move worth the damn. It's going to be them. Our people have to wake up. Or not. You're going to see what the missile's like, right? But this is just another example. And these are all sources right here. All sources, all listed down here. All this information at your fingertips. The Most High is making it so that in the day of judgment, you ain't got no excuses. When your ass get judged, it is going to be based on what you do or didn't do. That's why this whole this delusion of Yahushua coming back to give out hugs and declarations of peace and thanksgiving and brother, man, that shit is not going to happen. He is cutting heads off, and for good reason. When we see what these heathens have done to the planet, when we see what our people do to help them destroy this place and their own people, when we look at our people, and I'm not saying this as if it's the last and most insignificant thing, when we see our people openly and flagrantly breaking God's laws. And you can look and see all this research, all these people, these are doctors. These are people who are paid extravagantly to spend their time researching different aspects of melanin, aspects of something that we have seemingly for free, given to us by the Most High God, that can't be replicated anywhere in the world. So much so that it is the most precious substance on the planet. Literally. Worth more than palladium, rhodium, platinum, gold, silver. The only thing that might be worth more than melanin is antimatter. And antimatter is like billions of dollars for a gram. And it is so hard to produce that you literally need something like the equivalent of CERN to make it. But our people don't do any research, so they don't know much. And I'm not saying that I'm an intelligent individual. I'm a curious individual. That's all I am. I haven't conducted any research in this regard. I just read some websites, and I know how to string the information together just to get it out. And getting it out is even a problem because now I got to figure out how to get all this shit off of Vidyard and get it back onto YouTube. Hopefully for free, but shit, if it costs $15 a month, I might have to bite the bullet and try to get that done too. But all this information is out there, right? All this information. Another article talking about aluminum being a risk for all these different diseases, multiple sclerosis, neurodevelopmental toxicity, other neurological diseases. Just leave the shit open, right? Because there's so many of them, you don't even know what it might cause. Aluminum has actually been linked to epilepsy. If you have a wire in your TV exposed, throw some aluminum on there, see what happens to it. That shit is going to short out. It's going to short out. You know why? Because it's electrically conductive. It's going to mess the wire up. So if you put aluminum, which is already highly reactive in the body, into an electrical or bioelectrical system, such as the brain, what is going to happen? All this shit right here. Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, epilepsy, neurotoxin, like all these names. But if our people just had enough sense to get away from Esau, none of this shit would be happening. It pisses me off. It really does. I'm by myself and I'm mad. You know what I'm saying? It pisses me off. But let's see what we can get in the last like 6 or so minutes, right? Melanins are ubiquitous. Let's look this word up. Right? Another word for the road. Present, appearing, or found everywhere. Right? Everywhere except for in the Edomites. Eumelanins everywhere except for in the Edomites. Natural biopolymers owing widespread distribution in various parts of living organisms, such as hair, skin, mucous membranes, brain, medulla, and eyes. They are well known to participate in a broad scope of biochemical pathways and biological functions owing to their intriguing psychochemical properties relating to physics and chemistry, or to physical chemistry, right? Such as broadband ultraviolet visible absorption, absorbing UV light, intrinsic photoacoustic property. What is photoacoustics? The photoacoustic effect, or optoacoustic effect, is the formation of sound waves following light absorption in a material sample. It modulates light into sound. That's what melanin does, y'all. Shit is miraculous. And I didn't even cover everything. There's stuff that I didn't get to cover, y'all. And if you want to learn about it, you gotta look some of this stuff up yourself, because it does too much. I didn't even get to the part where essentially it talks about the molecular realignment of melanin under different circumstances, how magnetism arises out of melanin when you put magnetic forces near it. Molecules within the melanin become magnetic in and of themselves to do different things. This one substance does all these things, and you see there's so much of it. This goes all the way down to 14. And this is just one article. It keeps going. It keeps going. Photoacoustic imagery, magnetic resonance imaging, all melanin. Nuclear medical imaging, melanin. Multimodal imaging. What is that? I don't even know what that is, right? Multimodality imaging is widely considered to involve the incorporation of two or more imaging modalities, usually within the setting of a single examination, using, for example, dual or triple labeled optical or nuclear medicine reporter agents by performing ultrasound or optical studies within the MR. Whatever. I mean, my goodness, man. My goodness. Multimodal magnetic resonance imaging, the coordinated use of multiple mutually informative probes to understand brain structure and functioning. So what they would do is essentially they would use melanin as a way to essentially like have it modulate different be able to sense different things within the body through the molecule of melanin itself, through administering certain chemicals, through bombarding the body or a melanated body with certain energy, waveform patterns. Like all of this stuff is here. All of it's here. All you gotta do is just read it. All you gotta do is read it. Look at this, man. Look at this. All associated with melanin. All of it. And they're talking about all types of therapies concerning cancer and things of that nature, all from melanin. Talking about the accumulation of toxic metals in the locus coeruleus. All right, we know that's part of the brain, a melanated part of the brain. This is the end of the lesson for real, because it's like 2 minutes. But I'm finally at the end of it, and I'm frustrated because there's so much information here that I can't even bring it all out. And yet we still have our people walking around deaf, dumb, and blind and refusing to listen. And we're telling our people that they're special. There's something in them that literally everybody else would literally kill to have. They would kill for it. And even when killing for it, it still don't do you any good, because it only works in us. You can't just take it out of me and put it in you, or take it out of an Israelite and put it in a non-Israelite. It still don't work that way. But I'm going to finish off the right way. Call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. My name is Haya El. And if you stuck through all the lessons, more power to you. I appreciate it, right? Probably ain't as funny as I normally am. I try to be a little amusing when I'm, out doing my thing, preaching the word through the strength and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. But, hopefully you got some enjoyment out of this, and hopefully you learned a bit, okay? When the Bible says in Deuteronomy 7 and 6 that we're a special people unto the Most High God, it ain't a joke. It's not hyperbole. It is the truth. All right. All praises be unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And shalom, y'all. All right. Yeah, buddy.